All right, hi everybody, welcome. We are live. Thank you for tuning in to the Yard Sign, the most important and relevant podcast in politics. A little bit of a different setup today, if you haven't noticed yet. With me is Chris Licata and also a very special guest, Congressman Gus Bilirakis. And we're so excited to have you, Congressman. And you know, there's just honestly so much. We're going to try to get you on here, have you on the show as long as possible today, because there is so much to cover. But let's go ahead and start off with, of course, the biggest elephant, if you will, coming out of D.C. recently, which was the COVID relief bill. And we also have Chris Licata with us, who's actually on screen right now. Congressman, we didn't have, I don't think, on the House side, I mean, on the Senate side, we didn't see any Republicans voting for this bill. What was the temperature like in getting this bill through?
Well, no Republicans voted for it. Jonathan, thanks for having me on, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Chris. The bill, first of all, we did five bipartisan COVID relief bills, and this was strictly partisan. We had no input whatsoever. My party did not. Matter of fact, on the Energy and Commerce Committee, the Speaker did not allow the Chairman to accept any of our good amendments. There are no amendments whatsoever, but I like to think all our amendments were good. As a matter of fact, one particular amendment that I supported by Jeff Duncan in South Carolina said that American citizens and legal residents should be prioritized as far as getting the vaccine.
Sure, right.
I thought that was very reasonable. Now, it's not saying that illegal immigrants, farm workers, what have you, might get it down the road. However, we have a limited supply, and we should prioritize American citizens and legal residents first. I mean, we have seniors who are begging for the vaccine. Those who are vulnerable that aren't seniors need the vaccine as soon as possible.
Right, we already have communities that are being underserved right now, either to lack of resources in terms of how they can get to a vaccine, or just simply, the vaccine being available to them. So you would think, right, not that common sense is obviously very prevalent in D.C., but you would think that it would be common sense to make sure that we vaccinate the American citizens first who wish to do so, and then, anyone else who may be within our borders. And
you know how much pushback we got from the Democrats on the committee, and obviously they shot the amendment down.
Right.
This is just an example of how they operated with regard to the COVID-19, and we're talking about 9% of the 1.9 trillion COVID related. It's supposed to be a COVID relief package. So no bipartisanship, 9%. We have a $1 trillion that has not been spent yet,
right,
with regard to COVID relief. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, and I'm pleased that my party did not support it. Now, do we support targeted relief? Absolutely.
Right.
And we've proven that in the past with these five particular bills that were bipartisan.
And so when they're looking at all this money that's sitting there that hasn't been used, what are their excuses? What's the reasoning for authorizing even more money that we don't have, putting us deeper into the deficit? Is it all just theater for them?
So I didn't hear that part, but the Democrats, as you know, Jonathan, will spend your money.
Right.
They'll spend my money. They'll spend the taxpayer money. They don't care. I mean, it's easy to say yes for everything. We have the tough job and the right thing to do, and say no when we feel that the spending is frivolous, because we care about the deficit.
Right.
And the national debt, passing it on to our children and our grandchildren. Now, do we have to do a better job as a party emphasizing that? Yes, absolutely. But the Democrats are free spenders with your money. That's the bottom line.
And is it, when it comes to all the money that's not going towards COVID relief that was piled onto this bill, I mean, do they feel that they don't have to answer for that? I mean, I know there was money for National Endowment of the Arts. There's money going to food programs.
Well, don't you remember years ago Rahm Emanuel said something, and I'm paraphrasing, that it's always a good opportunity to take advantage of a good disaster.
Right, never let it get away.
Yeah, and so they're getting Pelosi priorities, bailing out the cities and the states, what have you, have done an awful job managing their funds. Most of it non-COVID relief, meaning prior to COVID. So it's just typical. We expected it.
Right.
And I know a few Democrats that are friends of mine that are really disgusted. They're disgusted with us. Now, can they do anything about it? No. One in particular voted against the bill when the original bill in the House. Then when it came back from the Senate, he ended up voting for it. And then there was one particular Democrat that voted for it. Voted against the bill.
Right.
The final package. So we're going to be seeing this. But I just hope that we get our message out. And I appreciate it, Jonathan, you doing this, because we need to get our message out.
And so
people need to know how bad the other side is, and then, we have to have solutions ourselves.
Well, absolutely. And speaking of which, President Trump, of course, had to do a lot of emergency spending. He was able to get a number of spending bills passed. There wasn't really a big push for ways to, again, lower the deficit. How do Republicans come back and kind of circle back around to the conversation of fiscal conservatism, being that it seemed to take a back burner for so long now?
Yes, so you're saying, it's breaking up a little bit, okay, but I'm going to repeat what you said. You said President Trump, under President Trump, we didn't do a good job with the deficit spending and what have you. I think that if he had gotten elected the second time, I think he really would have tightened up on the spending, because I feel he cared about the American people, and he has grandchildren and he'll have great grandchildren. We have to make sure that we aren't free spenders when we get the majority back, because I believe the American people are going to give us another opportunity. Now, did we do great things under President Trump? Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Should we have, and you can't just put the blame on him, the entire party. Should we have been more cognizant of the fact that we have this humongous deficit and national debt? Absolutely. And it's not, Ronald Reagan did it. Right. When Boehner, and I know a lot of people weren't crazy about Boehner, but we actually cut the deficit for 5 consecutive years in the House of Representatives. Now, was it enough? No, but we were going in the right direction.
Now, to circle back a little bit further before this COVID relief bill, with us, losing majority in the Senate, and still not quite, we're on the cusp, but not quite having control of the House, but of course losing the White House. Give us the idea, because this must have been a huge shift of power, a huge shift in the dynamics there in DC.
Well,
what's that been?
We thought we were going to win at least one of the Georgia races.
Yeah.
So that was a tremendous disappointment. I think we get both those seats back in the future. But see, that made the Senate, as you know, 50-50, and now Vice President Harris cast the deciding vote. Not good. Do we get the Senate back? Absolutely, this next time. We are on the cusp of winning the House back. We do have leverage. We're not irrelevant in the House. It's just that Pelosi has this tight grip on these members. But eventually, and it's because she raises money for them and what have you, but eventually that's going to break. It's going to loosen, because there are a lot of members that are in Trump seats. As a matter of fact, I think 47 members are Democrat members that are in Trump seats. All we need is 6 or 7. Now, do I want more? You're done right, I want more. because we need conservatives in the House. But I think they realize that now, and they're going to start breaking away from her, in my opinion.
Well, and we've already seen her being challenged by a lot of the freshmen on her side of the party, and so I think her clock is certainly ticking in that respect.
I think so.
We have, like I mentioned earlier, Chris Licata joining with us, and I know he was excited to not only have you on the show as well as he's one of your constituents. But Chris, do you have a question for the congressman?
Yeah, it's breaking up a little bit, but I'll let you know if I don't hear the entire question. Go ahead.
Yes, Congressman, I was just curious. You're saying that Speaker Pelosi's grip is loosening. Is it loosening from the center or from the far left?
I think I think it's loosening from the center. She's appeasing the far left at this point. So she's really concerned about the far left. So there's some members, again, in Trump districts, where the former president won the district in 2020, and these numbers are in jeopardy. Now, are they raising money? Yeah, they're raising a hell of a lot of money, campaign money, for the election. But we have to call them out on these terrible votes, and it only gets worse and worse. Their messaging bills, most of them will not pass the House. Will not pass the Senate. The only reason the COVID relief package passed is because she used a reconciliation tool and did not require the 60 votes. But that can't happen again this year.
I'm glad you brought that up, Congressman, because I was curious what your prospects on HR 1 were.
Yeah, I think it's dead. I think it's dead in the water. Yeah, I feel that way. Will they come back with some type of a version of it? No, I don't really think the Senate's going to pick that up. It's dead in the water.
Is it your opinion then that bills like HR 1, and I believe it might be HR 5, the assault weapons ban, all of this is just grandstanding at this point?
Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Manchin played a large role, and we were disappointed that he voted for the COVID package. But he's going to be, he's got to worry about re-election in a few years, and he wants to satisfy his constituents, and he's got a conservative state that he represents in West Virginia, so he's going to play a role. Again, we've got to play defense. We've got to play defense for the next couple of years, and then I think you're going to see us getting about the House, getting us back get the House back in the Senate, and continue with the Trump policies that were very, very successful as far as I'm concerned. And I think that the president was just getting started. I really do.
Congressman, on that note, I mean, really, since the president has left office, he's obviously been quieter. I mean, I would say forcibly quieter, because we saw these media platforms all try to censor him and silence him. But being involved in the day-to-day operations of not only Congress but even on the fundraising side for the party, and what is his involvement been like? I mean, have you seen or heard from him?
Well, I feel, again, it's breaking up a bit, but I feel that the president will come through. I feel that, when McCarthy went down there, the minority leader met with him in Miami, and Steve Scalise as well, a week after McCarthy, I think they got a commitment from the president, this is what I've heard, to help us in these House and Senate races, get the majority back. We asked Facebook point blank. We were very angry, and we let the leaders know that we were very upset at the fact that the president was taken off Twitter. I have a hearing. Actually, I'm the ranking member of the Consumer Protection and Commerce Committee now. Hopefully, I'll chair it
next time we get the majority back, which we will. But I asked, but we're going to bring in Facebook, Google, etc., Amazon, and they're going to testify before us on the 25th of March. And I promise you that will come up. Section 230 will also come up.
Yeah, because, again, and I appreciate you making the effort to bring it back up because, one of the best examples I've heard so far about what they did during the election was essentially by censoring him, they gave Biden millions of dollars in free advertising by essentially eliminating the voice of his opposition.
Yeah. There has to be consequences. They have to be held accountable. Just the other day, I posted on Facebook, my staff did, a Republican conference post with regard to the Keystone Pipeline, which was extremely accurate. I mean, our conference is not going to post something unless they fact check it.
Right.
And it had to do with the number of jobs that were lost due to the president's executive order on the Keystone Pipeline. And it was tagged, not taken down, but tagged. That's my first experience with it. And they probably tagged every member of Congress who posted this.
Right.
And I brought it up to Facebook. They really didn't have much of an answer. I remember a hearing that we had a couple of years ago where there was a post, one of the members from West Virginia again, posting advertisement for opioids. Okay?
Yep.
So in other words, non-prescription opioids. They took it down right away after our testimony. I followed up and really gave them hell. But then, a few weeks later, they put it back up. Diamond and Silk gets taken off of, social media. So we're going to really go after them. Now, what's done with Section 230, we are going to address it.
I mean, this I would say even some years ago was a very gray area. But I think once they've started fact-checking and deciding what goes online and what doesn't, at that point they become publishers and not a platform. Isn't that right?
I think that's true. Again, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think that's true.
Yeah.
There has to be accountability, and we're going to look at 230. And I have joint jurisdiction with the Telecommunications and Technology Committee. And we're gonna make some changes, no question. And then the bottom line is we need to protect our consumers.
Right.
In addition to that, they should have the right to post whatever they like, as long as it's nothing illegal. And there's been clear bias over the years. And we're going to address it now. It's hard when you don't have the majority, but I'm not going to give up. And again, we may get a few Democrats to vote with us.
Well, Congressman, again, we can't thank you enough for, your service to D.C. And you've been someone who's done so much, not only in D.C., but especially here at home. I know you're a huge champion for veterans. Aside from us helping you get the word out about these issues, if someone wants to take the next step and be more engaged with your office, what do they need to do?
Yeah, again, it's breaking up, Johnson, but we have a advisory council, and it's not a political advisory council, congressional advisory council, with veterans, but also a general one in all three counties that I represent, Hillsborough, Pinellas, and Pasco, and we'd like for them to get involved. They can always contact us on a regular basis. I mean, I'm busy all day here in the district. I don't have to tell you. I know you work with Marco, and
yes, sir.
And you see it. Marco's doing a great job too. As a matter of fact, I'm going to look into this daylight savings time legislation. I think it's about time.
Yeah,
I think it's about time we do it.
It's well, again, it's just a symbol of kind of our past, that has just kind of lingered on a little too far.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not,
yeah. Well, it's a
it doesn't make
safety
sense
issue
anymore.
now.
Yeah.
Traffic, and then we want to open up the schools, okay. But right now we don't even have physical education for a lot of these kids.
Right.
They need to get out and play and get off these computers and iPhones, what have you. They need to get out and interact. There's a lot of social anxiety, depression, and it's very scary. So this will really help a lot if we have the daylight savings time where we have an extra hour to be out, with their friends, playing baseball, football, basketball, that kind of stuff. It's a positive thing. There's no question.
Congressman, that reminds me of a few years ago in the state legislature. They did mandatory recess because a lot of school districts were getting rid of recess.
Getting away, yeah. We're finding out how important physical therapy is. Not just physical therapy, but physical education. And due to this pandemic, and we need more telehealth, and we need more telepsychiatry as well. So I'm working on that. I like to, first of all, veterans have always been my top priority and always will be, but there are other issues that really interest me, and I know they're very important to my constituents. So we kind of dabble in everything.
Well, and as I know personally, and I thank you very much, is, veteran mental health is the two different issues that you care very strongly about, and I know you're very involved in various nonprofits in the area.
Yeah, we have a golf tournament with a veteran alternative on Friday. I'm not going to play, but my kids are going to play. But I'm going to participate. The alternative therapies are so very important. And we do a great job in the Tampa Bay area with the nonprofits. And I've also sponsored legislation with regard to mental health for veterans and bringing in the alternative therapies. But we want to have veterans have access to mental health. And through that choice program, the Mission Act, we call it, people now, veterans can go for any type of an illness. They can go see their doctor in the community if they choose to.
Yeah. Unfortunately, sorry, I was kind of expecting that might happen. As you know, we've been having some trouble with Zoom here throughout the show, but we're going to work on getting that back up and running here in just a bit. Thank you for watching the Yard Sign, everybody. Again, Johnny Torres with you as always. That was Congressman Bilirakis here from the Tampa Bay area, just giving us a legislative update and, of course, some insight into what happened with the COVID relief bill. Chris Licata also, I'm going to work on getting him back in on the show here. Give me 1 second. But plenty to talk about. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you don't mind, really quickly, just go ahead and hit that share button to help us get the show out there. And also make sure that you're subscribing to our show on on the audio version of our show is on Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible platforms. And you can also find, of course, the video version of our show on Facebook and YouTube, or wherever you may be watching. Let me quickly work on getting Chris back here in the room, if possible. One of the other topics, as you can see there in our list of topics for today, is really the stark contrast between Ron DeSantis and the things he's been doing here in Florida to not only keep people safe but keep Florida open, but also it's just such a different mentality. I mean, there's pictures going viral of Governor Ron DeSantis at Bike Week, over in Daytona Beach, and him having a good time, having some beers. It's almost like here in Florida, and you got to step back and think about it. we kind of take it for granted. We're almost living in like a completely different universe, than those in other states. And I don't gloat about it. I mean, but it is something to be proud about, that we have leadership that actually understands how to not only protect the state's economy, but also allow people to go on, and stay safe and be healthy, and allow themselves to really, take the measures that they need, right? And it's all about balance and allowing you and I to make personal decisions for our own safety. And I think that that's a big reason why we've been able to successfully navigate this coronavirus. All right, let me go ahead and bring back my Zoom window up as we've got the regulars joining us. So here we go. Hold on one second, guys. A little bit of a different show, but
That's what I learned in my car.
yeah. So, hey, if the congressman can join us from the car, so
Did we
can
lose the congressman?
Enable David Cabrera.
Yeah, I think he's done.
Yeah,
No.
we'll get him on.
It ended perfectly, Jonathan.
So, well, good.
Johnny, your mic's muted.
That's a great. That's a great interview.
I think he's muted us.
No, I can hear you guys just fine. Hang on a second. Not sure why. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. I could hear you guys just fine. Thanks for coming back, guys, and sorry about the issue there. But I was actually just going on to the next topic, which was Governor Ron DeSantis and how he's managed this coronavirus crisis pandemic, so differently from what's being done across the country. In fact, even where pictures of him have gone viral, over in Daytona Beach in Bike Week. Now, Chris, I'm sorry that they seem to have put you in a closet somewhere, and couldn't find.
Let me see if I can fix that.
But one of the things that we certainly wanted to touch on were the executive orders that he passed, specifically in regards to the fines assessed. And I think this is not only to individuals, but also to businesses when it comes to the coronavirus. And this is a huge deal because, it's already been difficult enough for people. And we don't understand the circumstances by which they may have gotten these fines. And the truth of the matter is that people are struggling in one way or another enough as it is already. And I thought it was very proactive of him to go ahead and eliminate those fines, so that, they're not beholden, that it's not going to have these people or these business owners suffer any more than they already have. Excuse me. Speaking of coronavirus, Anibal, I know you work with a number of businesses. Did any of them get fined in all of this?
So as of right now, we have a few of them that got their liquor license suspended for a few days during the week. So that's what we're dealing with right now within the situation. Others were able to, especially some in Soho, were able to bypass the fines. So it's more of a cat and mouse situation. A lot of bars and restaurants are trying their best to coordinate with their staff and even really begging the patrons to make sure that they don't offend or cause any issues with fines. So it's more like a cat and mouse situation. And I had to give props to the community patriots, who were very much vocal and in front of the county commissioners when they were having their meetings in the city of Tampa. So there's a lot of pushback within the community, but the only thing I've heard so far is no monetary fines, but they did get their liquor license suspended for, I think, 3 days.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Looking at, for anybody who doesn't know McDinton's, it's a very popular college bar in South Tampa. And heck, under normal circumstances, you have people just overflowing out of that place. And look, honestly, if you were to drive by there in recent weeks, it certainly looked like there was no coronavirus anywhere to be had. And so, yeah, I think that certain measures need to be taken to make sure that nobody is being unruly or being just completely the words are kind of escaping me right now, but it has complete lack of regard for public safety. But at the same time, again, back to what I was praising Governor DeSantis for, finding that balance between allowing our economy to be open and still allowing people to live their lives safely. Licata, just to kind of circle back a little bit to the interview with the congressman. So what did you think?
I think that was awesome. I think he's on the money. It's what I was thinking as well on the fact that I don't think HR 1 or HR 5 or any of the rest of the Democratic wish list is going anywhere in the Senate. It might squeeze through the House, but I don't think they're going to have the 60 votes in the Senate to really do anything else with their quote-unquote majority. So, the COVID, massive spending package is what they got. Now, I do think, and we didn't have time to bring this up with the congressman, but I do think the writing's on the wall of the one thing they're going to pass next year when they can do reconciliation again, which is the infrastructure package. I think is what the other big legislative win that they're going to try and push through. And again, it's just a massive spending package.
Right.
But as far as HR 1, HR 5, these kind of things, I think they're dead on arrival in the Senate.
Yeah, no, look, and again, no one has been, I think, a fair, I mean, certainly out of our current representation across the state, I mean, there is no one who I believe is more level-headed and has more common sense in Congress, on the House side, than Congressman Bilirakis. I mean, he's just someone who doesn't get emotional, doesn't get wrapped up in the news cycles. He doesn't get wrapped up in all the day-to-day controversies that are conflated by the media. I mean, he's somebody who approaches this constantly from the standpoint of what is going to be best for my constituents, and it's one of the things that I think it's the least you could ask for, and he excels at it consistently for his district.
I agree, and he. I hope we can have him on the show again. I think that was fantastic. It was very insightful, impactful, and of kind of the insight into what's going on in Congress, and that some of my prognostications are indeed correct.
Yeah, look, and we certainly had plenty more to talk to him about. To kind of transition into our next topic, one of the things I did want to run by him was the. Sorry, I think we're having a little bit of a broadcast issue here. A second, hold on. Was our next topic, which is, people are still continuing to bring up January 6th. And again, yeah, it was a horrible thing. Yes, it should never have happened. Yes, they should all go to jail. But meanwhile, the riots in Portland at the hands of Antifa have been continuous. They've not stopped for months. And they continue to escalate, and they continue to try to destroy and set federal buildings on fire. And one of the things I wanted to ask him was, how does this not become a federal issue? How does the president not intervene here and say enough is enough and send the military in there to get that city back into order?
That's a great question. That is indeed a great question, because I don't think this president is going to certainly do anything of the sort, and sadly, President Trump was not in the position to do so, whereas he would be castigated in the media as instituting some kind of martial law just for upholding the rule of law. So it is a catch-22 for the Republican president, President Trump, and of course, President Biden has no desire to let them eat cake, is the phrase that comes to mind for me. Right. Is kind of what he's thinking.
Yeah, I don't know if we maybe lost. Did we lose an evil?
I still see him.
Oh, okay. All right, hang on. We're just trying to figure out here. I think the broadcast is getting a little choppy here, but. Hang on one second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. Well, and the fact that the media continues to act like it's not happening. I mean, one of the things that is just now starting to break through the mainstream media is obviously the attacks on the Asian community around the country, predominantly in liberal strongholds like New York City and San Francisco. But of course, anybody that reports on it, including NPR, wants to say that that this all started because of President Trump. Yet here we are, approaching month 4 of a Democrat presidency, and these attacks on Asian Americans continue to happen. I mean, it's incredibly unfortunate that that's what's going on. But again, whether it's this or whether it's a siege on Portland and the Antifa riots that continue to happen, at some point, do you think that they're actually going to do anything about it? I mean, is there anything that this administration will do to stop what's happening in Portland, or do you think they're just going to continue to ignore it and hope that it goes away?
If the Democrat establishment wouldn't care or move for 15,000 dead grandparents or 7 cases of inappropriate behavior with a Democratic governor, they're not going to do anything about the West Coast. Someone is going to have to die, and multiple people are going to have to die for them to do anything on their side, and that's very, very, very sad. I mean, the American people are going to see the hypocrisy of it all, that it's taking so much for them to do something. It's going to require the ability literally to burn to the ground. And that's a very sad point where we are in our American society, where it requires so many things to go by so little time, and the loss of life before Democrats are willing to do anything.
Well, and I would like to piggyback on that to a certain degree. I think what we're going to see for various reasons, not just the Antifa riots, but we're going to see a rise of federalism again. I think people are going to, I think the federal government is going to they're going to put the fence back around the courthouse in Portland. And
Hey guys, can you hear me? All right, just give me 1 second. I know my audio is carrying over, but yours isn't. So hang on 1 second. I'm trying to reset here. I don't know what the audio just dropped out. Well, it's broadcasting, which also records at the same time. Why? All right, can you guys hear me now? Oh,
Yes.
okay. I heard Anibal. I didn't hear Chris.
Yeah, I'm here. I was asking if we're recording because since the congressman dropped off, I haven't seen the little recording button.
Oh yeah, no, because I'm not recording this part. Well, we're yes. I'll explain later. But yes, we are. The whole show gets recorded. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Sorry about some of the technical issues we're having. Yeah, again, we appreciate Congressman Bilirakis for joining us earlier today on the show. We were about to start talking about the border crisis, and I was saying how it's funny how we had this immigrant caravan happening towards the end of the Obama administration. I believe word got out that he was thinking about maybe having some sort of plan to legalize illegal immigrants, even though he was the deporter in chief. And that's obviously been well documented. But also now that Biden's taken office, and again, they know that he's going to be soft on immigration. We're starting to see this border crisis emerge again, where the border is overwhelmed with people trying to get into the country. And if those are the people actually going to the border, where you have to get processed to get in. I mean, imagine how many people are trying to get through illegally right now, and trying to get through the gaps in our border, and do so, and not be seen or not be processed. Do you guys see, asylum in the future? Because he's obviously expanded the the migrant housing, that's now evolved from cages into what looks like cells. But is he going to say screw it? I'll just grant asylum to the however many million, 15, 20 million illegal immigrants that are here in the United States.
I think you have a really hard time doing that, legally speaking. I mean, deferred action for children was deferred, not, it was, I'm going to kick the can down the road, was kind of Obama's approach, and they're good for now, was his approach with that. So I don't know. I don't think any executive action on the subject would actually hold any weight, particularly with the current composition of the court.
Hold on.
You're muted, Anibal.
Yeah, is Anibal trying to jump in?
Yeah, I have to agree. I do not think it's going to occur, even though it did occur during the Reagan administration with the path to the amnesty. So I never counted against that the system will allow it to occur again. I think what's happening now with them not willing to call it a crisis is very inappropriate, and people are seeing the hypocrisy of it all. The fact that they're building more cages for these kids, the fact that they're trying to move them in the middle of the night so then people can't tell what's going on. We have some great on-the-ground journalism that's occurring there. We just have to wait and see what's going to happen. I think the American people are going to get very upset now that they have completely defame the immigration policies that we have here. There was a reason why we were working with countries at different parts of the trail to get here, to get them to file for the immigration process here. Again, Americans don't want to stop immigration, legal immigration. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to continue. We take so many refugees into our country every single year, but the Democrats are making it sound like Republicans don't want immigrants in the country, which is that's completely false. And we have to be able to figure out how to change the narrative.
All right, guys. Again, we're kind of rife with technical issues tonight, so I think we're going to go ahead and call it a night on that front. Wow, record time. We're at about 45 minutes for tonight's show. Go figure. Again, thank you so much to Chris Licata and Abel David Cabrera, Congressman Bilirakis for joining us. We will also maybe separate that portion of the show as well. So keep an eye out for that on our YouTube channel. We appreciate you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe on Facebook and YouTube, and also check out the audio version of our podcast on our tech overlords over at Google, Apple, Spotify, Audible, and Amazon. Coming to you from Tampa, Florida. We thank you so much for watching The Yard Sign. We'll catch you all next time. Have a great night. So long.